Okay, so now we're going to look at flow control, basically if statements, if else, else. This allows us to have different things happen depending on the condition as you work through the code. So this is an important part of pretty much any programming language, and it's also important with JavaScript, obviously. Okay, so let's just start looking at some of these statements. All right, so I'm going to start off with just a simple if statement. So let's do if, and then we need a condition. So we're going to say x is greater than 10. And then if that's true, then we want to do something. So what happens is placed in brackets, and then we're just kind of at log, console.log, and we'll do value is less than 10. Okay, and then we need a value to test, so we need to have something assigned to x. So we'll say let x equal 8. Okay, so this statement is true, right? So x is 8, so 8 is less than 10. So this should actually happen then, right? So let's run this and see what we get. All right, so we get value is less than 10. All right, so now let's change this to another value, like 11. And now this is false. So in this case, nothing happens, right? So again, the code inside of the if statement only gets executed if the condition is met, right? Okay, that's a simple if statement. Now, sometimes you may want to have a condition or we may want to have some code run if the if statement is evaluates to false. And that is the use of an else statement. So I'm going to put in else here now. Note that the else doesn't need a condition because it's basically just the default. So if the if condition evaluates to true, the else statement is basically ignored. If it evaluates to if the if statement evaluates false, then the else statement will be executed. So again, it doesn't need a condition. So do console.log value is greater than or equal to 10. Okay. All right, so let's try this again. So now this should evaluate to false, which means our else statement should run. So we get value is greater than or equal to 10. Again, if we go back to value smaller than 10, then the code in the if statement runs. Again, less than or equal to. So lastly, just let's put in a 10 here. So now we should still get the code from the else statement. All right. That's an example of flow control with an if statement, or sorry, control flow with an if statement and also an else statement. Note that it is possible to have multiple conditions, and that is done using an else if, right? So we're going to add that in here because generally else is going to be last. It's the default thing that would happen if nothing else evaluates true. So now we're using else if. Note that that's all lowercase and separated into two words. All right, and in the condition here, we're going to put in, there we go. So in the condition here, let's just do x is equal to 10. And then we'll just copy this and edit it. So value is 10, or is equal to 10, all right? And then we'd want to change this to value is greater than 10. All right, so now it should be equal to 10, right? So if we run this, actually, again, this doesn't really matter in this case, but we'll do the triple equals here. So now we should get the values equal to 10, right? If again, less than 10, then we get our first statement, what's in the if statement there. So value is less than 10, and then again, what's in our else statement. So just a couple notes about the syntax here. I probably should put semicolons after these statements. That's generally considered the correct way to do it. Note that the else, if, and else are generally put on the same line as the ending curly bracket of the prior statement. If you don't do that, it should still run, but that's generally considered the default way to do it. And again, the if statement and the else if statement, and you can have multiple else if statements, but no matter what, all of those need to have a condition, and then the else statement doesn't have a condition because it's kind of the default behavior, right? The default return.